Today is Tuesday, April 29th, and we are waking up to a brand new country this morning, it feels like.
Well, same government, right? We still have the Liberals in place, but there's a lot of questions around what that's going to look like once they get to the House of Commons, and there's a lot of questions about what happens in the West. The Conservatives dominated almost every region in Alberta. 34 of the 37 ridings turned solidly blue for the Conservatives. That's in spite of a couple of cities showing a number of tight races. So for a closer look at Alberta's blue wave, I'm joined once again by Tom Vernon, senior consultant with Crestview Strategies. My number one question when we put up the call last night that it was a Liberal win is, how are people in Alberta feeling? So Tom, I'm going to put that to you.
Yeah, and look, there's frustration in Alberta, obviously, with voters that voted for the Conservative Party. There was a hope for change in government here in Alberta, not just from Premier Danielle Smith and the USP government, but from a lot of voters here. Like, the Liberal government's been in power for a decade now, and now there's a new Prime Minister here, but there's not a lot of belief that there's going to be much change. There are a lot of concerns with energy policies, and there have been for a number of years here in Alberta, and there's not a lot of hope that those policies are going to change. Now, there's obviously conversations about national energy security and talking about oil and gas and different pipelines and different options to get product to market. But look, voters here, they're in the mood to, well, show us action and show that you actually are serious about developing this, and not a lot of trust in the Liberal government. So it'll be interesting to see politically how things move forward here in the next few weeks.
Just before I move to our next question, like, what did your DMs and your texts look like last night at like 10:04 when CTV made the call?
Yeah, DMs, texts, and my Facebook feed, right? Like, I grew up in Alberta, so I've got a lot of friends that also grew up in Alberta in there. And it wouldn't surprise you. A lot of frustration, a lot of people that were looking at.
But what does that frustration look like? Does it like, now it's time to go, we need the referendum? What are they saying?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm not getting those texts. And look, the majority of Albertans are still, proudly Canadian. The majority of Albertans are still, want to stay in Canada. I don't think you're going to see a majority of people push for separation or something like that. But we are going to see more serious conversations around ways to remove Ottawa from Alberta. That's really kind of the phrase that gets used out here. So we see things like a provincial police force. And last time around, we saw a referendum on equalization. Well, will the government here push further and push harder for changes to the equalization formula? So it'll be curious to see exactly what the provincial government does on that front. There is talk that there will be changes to legislation on citizens putting forward ballot initiatives and make it easier to get ballot initiatives out there. So there could be a referendum of some description. But look, I don't think you're going to see a big push from Alberta to separate from the country. The vast majority of Albertans are still happy with Canada and being in Canada.
They want to work within it. Can I put that map back up again? I just want to remind everybody, like, this is what the province looks like as of this morning. And we talk about major cities, but a reminder to people who aren't from the province, there really are only 2 cities that have over 1 million people. The next cities of Lethbridge and Red Deer both have under 100,000. So big difference in sort of voting mindset there. The Liberals were hoping to make gains in Edmonton and in Calgary. They won only 2 seats. Why weren't they able to break more ground?
So again, this is that 10 years of Liberal government, a lot of frustration out here, and they're always going to be in tough. Now, there were some close races here, but these Liberal candidates, they were facing a Conservative base that was very motivated to go to the polls, right? So the ground game is very important when it comes to elections, particularly in tight races. And in Alberta, those Conservative operatives that are on the ground and helping out and drive the vote were very successful in getting that very motivated vote out. Whereas the Liberal Party, look, they did get a decent vote share for the Liberal Party here in Alberta, but they don't have that same volunteer base here. They don't have that same kind of cultural significance here as the Conservatives do. So Alberta was a province, Saskatchewan was a province as well, that wanted to see change in government, and we saw that reflected, and the votes ended up being counted.
Have we heard from Premier Smith at all yet this morning?
No, I've not seen anything from Premier Smith. I got up and looked at her Twitter feed, and I've not seen any comment from her. It'll be interesting to see the tack she takes during the election, or might have been just before. She delivered that letter of demands to Prime Minister Carney, what she wants to see done when it comes to the energy sector and that. And the Prime Minister, said, well, we're not going to move forward on these, but, she's put out her opening salvo there. I think she will continue that sort of push on policies that she sees are beneficial to Alberta when it comes to the energy sector and those areas. So I don't think we're going to see Premier Smith, cozying up and being friends with the Liberal government. I think we're going to see her push, because that's good politically for her here in the province. Look, there's no denying Premier Danielle Smith would have preferred Pierre Poilievre be Prime Minister, that there be a Conservative government. But politically for her, this isn't the worst result, right? Like I think I said on one of our conversations before, in Alberta, there are 3 assurances: death, taxes, and a Conservative government going after a Liberal government in Ottawa. It's good politically for her. You're going to continue to see her do that, and that will help drive support for her with her supporter base here in the province.
Tom Vernon, Senior Consultant with Crestview Strategy. Great to have you with us for the past 2 days. Tom, thanks so much.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.